Douglas Alexander spoke at length on the difficult situation facing many Iraqis.
The United Nations estimates there are about 2.2 million internally displaced people in Iraq and a further 2 million Iraqis who are refugees across the region, approximately 1.5 million of those being in Syria and approximately 500,000 being in Jordan. Though independent estimates suggest that those numbers, for example the numbers in Jordan, may be somewhat lower. It is hard to identify the displaced populations and their needs really for two reasons. Firstly, there are very few camps on the borders of Iraq. The pattern of disbursement is that people tend to move either to communities within Amman in Jordan or Damascus within Syria. It's estimated that somewhat less than 3% of the displaced people outside of Iraq are living in camps, so it's not a visible community in a way that in other parts of the world it would be. And similarly, the security situation within Iraq constrains the ability to give an accurate assessment as to how many of the people who are internally displaced within the country are living. That being said, the World Food Programme estimates that approximately 4 million people in Iraq as food insecure, and many Iraqis have come to rely on the PDS, as it's known, the public distribution system, which was originally devised in the context of the hardship following the Iran-Iraq war, but is one functioning piece of the Iraqi state that continues to operate.
He then turned to the present state of the country's health service.
I think it's fair to say that the Iraqi health system faces enormous challenges, many of which actually predate the 2003 action that was taken. There was literally decades of underinvestment and mismanagement within the health system, and an increased number of vulnerable people in the security situation have added to the challenge that the health system is facing. In recent years we have seen the specific targeting of doctors and nurses, which is not limited to a single geographical area but has manifested itself in a number of areas by insurgents, and many, perhaps as much as half of the population of doctors and health professionals within Iraq as a consequence have left the country. About 20% of Iraqi children under 5 are now missing routine medical vaccinations, for example, as one example of where the system is under strain.
He also outlined the progress made despite uncertainty surrounding security in Iraq.
All of us recognise the real but fragile progress that has been made in recent months. And I think all of us would recognise that probably the biggest single determinant of the environment in which the population has left has been one of security and violence. And in that sense, all of us would wish to see an accelerated rate of return reflecting improved circumstances on the ground, but I don't think one can predict with confidence at this stage what will in turn be the security situation, the progress on political and economic development, and indeed the process of political reconciliation within Iraq, to the extent that could allow you to put any kind of numbers on that. From a Foreign Office point of view, is there anything you would add?
No,